starting with the home page, we'll start the game. So this game is organized similar to that of the introduction of how God made the world, but of course not making this religious in any context. So it's just educating you on the world, but just broken down into a simpler form into these 7 chapters.
We can't create in the dark, so why don't you turn the lights on? I wouldn't want you straining your eyes. One flashbang should do it, but you are the creator.
Throwing these grenades will create that start of making light. We will find ourselves in this white room as a blank space.
Let's create a planet. Before we make the rock, let's collect the needed gases and elements to create a bubble for our planet. First, let's recap what's needed to allow for an inhabitable planet. For reference, Earth's atmosphere is composed of about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and 0.1% of other gases. Within the atmosphere is a range of layers, giving a natural protective layer for its surface, which is dependent upon the elemental composition
which
in the
element
atmosphere.
we want in the atmosphere.
So, you can use the buttons on the side to begin adding the desired elements.
We'll have to generate our atmosphere, and of course we can just select what amount of elements we want in our atmosphere, and then after that we can hit the next, and
the atmosphere has been created. We next need to make a life-sustaining liquid. Our atmosphere will act as the superhighway in the sky that moves water everywhere over the planet. Water at the planet's surface will evaporate into water vapor, which rises up into the sky to become part of a cloud. Then the water will float off with the winds, eventually releasing water back to the Earth as precipitation. It's a giant cycle fully dependent on 2 parts for a thriving planet. Spin the wheel over on the right to release the water.
From there we can make our water. And then generating the water will then lead to our next scene.
We need to get back to the surface. Let's see what we're dealing with.
Of course,
Earth is
of course, we can't just have a
multiple
world
layers.
composed of water and earth, or
First
water
layer,
and
the
air.
crust, is the thinnest of all layers.
We have
The
to
crust is where
first
all of
then
civilization
discover
is built.
the crust in the world. So we find ourselves
Second outer layer.
the core, that's the ground we're laying on now, and then from there we can go through
Core as
the
well.
narration, and we can
Try
then
sketching out the layers
pull
of the
out
Earth.
each layer
Use
as a
them
stepping stone
staircase
to get
back
to the
up.
crust.
Welcome back to the surface, creator. Now that we have our solid foundation, plants will be able to grow. Sit back and watch the magic happen.
And then, of course, it will ask you a question based off the information we just covered. So for this one, what is the name of the first layer of Earth? And that was the crust.
While you were asleep, I generated the sun and the moon. The sun shoots solar flares, and due to the distance and Earth's natural magnetic field, it is properly shielded. A planet can have moons and orbit a star at a certain distance. The sun is just the right distance for heating Earth. The moon is tied to tide rise. The orbit of the moon pulls the ocean on Earth towards the moon, creating tides, and the gravity of the moon creates waves for our ocean. For reference, the sun is located 92.96 million miles from the Earth, and the moon is only located about 238,900 miles.
Okay, so we can
However,
toggle
due to
between
my limited power, I would need you
the
to
moon
resize
and the sun.
Use that
However,
lever on the left
the
to toggle
moon
between
is
night and day.
stationary in its sizing, but we can use the gun to enlarge the sun.
Use the black ray gun and shoot at your targets to enlarge them. Remember, this process is irreversible.
Then after we get to a certain point on the size of the sun, it will automatically transition us to our next chapter. We can see our Earth starting to get rendered out with each choice we make. As you can see the clouds and the trees.
Next set,
Then as we
creating the creatures that
transition, we
inhabit
can
it.
find ourselves having to create those
Earth has a selection of
animals,
that are not
birds, and
magnified
fishes
and have the ability to live underwater
to populate
and
our
fly.
world.
Birds have hollow bones that allow for a lighter body, making them able to fly. Fish have gills that separate oxygen from the water.
So we can just flip over
Unlock
the
the cage to
bird
release
cage
the
and the
birds
bird
into
will
the
fly
sky.
out. Then from there, we'll see all the birds populate. And then after, we'll spawn the fishes in our world.
Next, knock over the box to allow the fish to swim in the water.
The box, we can just tip that over. Which animal had hollow bones? We already covered that. That's birds. And then after we do make the fish and the birds, we need our people as well as our land animals.
Earth has a wide range of animals that are vegetarian, carnivorous, and herbivores. People have made themselves the prime hunter, dominating the world, leaving the other animals to adapt to new environments and situations. The creation of humans is a difficult task.
So we can just pull this toggle here and generate
Go
people.
ahead and pull that lever to begin the process.
Then we can see a performance surrounded by all the other things we've generated, like the birds, as you can see, as well as the fish. Next question on people have made themselves the what dominating the earth, and then from there that brings the conclusion. In this situation, the bad ending was just based off of the questions that we answered, and I guess I answered most of them wrong. So it is a bad ending, and then you can see all the people who helped in the creation of making Big Bang.